All right, everyone. Welcome into another edition of the Dynasty Podcast. What a week we already have. We are officially done with every single game of week two. We're getting ready to move to week three here. I want to preview and kind of go over what happened in week two and week one. Some surprises in week one and not as much in week two. But to start off, I want to say that Louisville has got their first win. They go 1-1 through these two games. They beat FCS East 35-0. Don't get much stats from these games, but it's a good win for that program. They started off ranked 12. They fell first week of the season. I believe they played at USF and looked absolutely terrible, losing 16-7. So this Louisville team gets a win and good things on the horizon for them, hopefully. But they get a win here. Next up, staying in the ACC, the Terps beat FCS East 35-16. It's a good win for Coach CJ. He goes to 2-0. He had 404 yards of total offense. And just like at ECU, he sticks with the ground game, has three touchdowns on the ground, 171 yards. Great win for the Terps over in Maryland. Also staying in the ACC, we had Liberty knock off FCS East 66-9. Liberty puts up 600 yards of total offense. They had, I believe, 526 passing yards. So actually carving this FCS defense up. Four teams played FCS East, so they got actually. This was looks like the biggest blowout for this FCS East team, and yeah, it's a good win for Liberty. They go 2-0 to start the season. Clemson takes on Coastal Carolina. This is a weird game. This is at Coastal Carolina, but Clemson has no problem on the offensive side of the football. Clemson puts up 668 yards of total offense, absolutely wrecking that Chanticleer's defense. Coastal Carolina has four turnovers on the day. They fall pretty big to this Clemson team. It's a good first win. He was on bye. Coach Taz on bye first week of the season. That's a good win for him. Next up, bouncing to the SEC, Penn State beats Delaware 56-20. Not as convincing as I'm sure that he would want. Delaware scores 14 points in the second quarter, but this game was pretty much over from the jump when they outscored him 21-3 in the first. But the Nittany Lions put up 564 yards of offense, 158 of those being on the ground. Good win for him. He had four turnovers, four picks. What was going on for the Penn State offense there? They tried two quarterbacks. It doesn't look like any of these quarterbacks are doing much. Going from Drew Aller and Avery Johnson to Josh Flowers or Walker White has not been the transition that Coach Austin would have wanted. But they keep moving. They're going to keep trying to iron some of this stuff out and hopefully compete down the stretch. Number one ranked Wisconsin goes versus FCS Midwest. They beat 70-10 Wisconsin's way. 595 yards of total offense, and then we had only one turnover. So it doesn't look like maybe it's a stat thing for FCS Midwest and it doesn't calculate the stats, but one turnover for Wisconsin. Pretty solid win. Nothing to really write home about here. Kentucky, big road win. Sixth ranked Kentucky goes at Tennessee, beats 28-24. It's a great win for this Kentucky squad. This is a tough place to play at Tennessee. Cedric Monty has an okay day with 259 yards and two touchdowns. What else happened in the game? It looks like Kentucky had 383 yards of offense, and only one turnover. So they kept mostly clean and they scored every quarter to win the game there. But that's a good win for Kentucky. Climbing up the rankings, already at number six in the country. It's a good win for them. West Virginia, after falling the first week of the season, they beat FCS East 63-10. Solid win for them. They put up 599 yards of offense. Zero turnovers, kept it clean, 6 for 6 on third downs. Great win for this West Virginia squad. Texas beats Michigan 42-10. This was close game in the first half, then Texas kind of branches away. Texas has some quarterback controversy that they're going to need to figure out. It's looking like the redshirt junior, is going to take the majority of the snaps. He had the best day. But CJ Baxter was the main story, the senior running back. He was a very great, not add, but great keep for this Texas team as they transition coaches in the offseason. But this Texas team rolls. They go 2-0, headed into a bye week. Last week, I do want to touch on some matchups. Texas beats Mexico State 49-20 was not a good convincing first win. Syracuse and Penn State. Penn State dominates going 56 to 7. 575 yards of offense, putting up 56 points against a ACC opponent is always going to be good. Georgia loses to Penn State, or excuse me, Georgia loses to FSU, 32 to 21. A terrible day for Georgia. Florida State puts up 19 points in the third quarter, and they fall. Just not a great day. Three turnovers, two interceptions, and a fumble loss. They're going to look to rebound on week three, but not a great performance from them. West Virginia in a fair sim, I believe, fell to Bama 45 to 31. Not a great start for Matt. I know he's going to want that game back, especially going into a tough SEC schedule. But two turnovers for this West Virginia squad. Alabama's a tough out, but they're going to want that one back for sure. Wisconsin beats Air Force 56 to 7. Good win for Wisconsin. They get two easy ones. And then we'll preview their game for week three. ACC jumping over, seeing if there's anything interesting that happened in week one. Like I said, Louisville lost 16 to 7. Liberty beats Virginia Tech 35 to 28. It was a fantastic win for Liberty. They go on the road to enter Sandman, even on the back of four interceptions by their quarterback. It was a good win for them. Malachi Nelson returning two touchdowns, four interceptions on the day, so not a fantastic day from him. Not turning over the ball, but they get the win, and that's what was important. This Liberty team came back and they rallied and got the dub. Maryland also gets a convincing win against a good Sun Belt team in James Madison, 59 to 10. Good 586 yards of offense. They put 368 yards on the ground. This Maryland run game is going to be something to look out for. But yeah, that was week one and two. We're going to jump to week three now. Of course, Texas is on a bye. Looking at some ACC matchups, Louisville goes at Iowa State. This is going to be a crucial one for the Cardinals here. Louisville is going to want to stay in that top 25, stay in that playoff race. They're going to need to win games like this, and they couldn't do it at Kansas. So we will see what happens here. West Virginia at Syracuse. This is apparently a rivalry. But I expect West Virginia to get out on top on this one. Syracuse, after falling to Penn State, I believe, in week one. This is not a good team. I expect Matt to win games like this. Jacksonville State at Clemson. Clemson gets another easy opponent. Jacksonville State's 1-1 on the season, but Clemson's very talented offensively and defensively. But I expect Coach Taz in that offense to jump out early. Virginia Tech, after losing to Liberty, goes on the road at Maryland. This is also going to be a big one for Coach CJ. This is two teams of even talent. This is one that he's going to want. And I think if he's able to run the ball as consistently as the first two games, I think he comes out on top of this one. And then finally staying in the the ACC, Liberty at Coastal Carolina. This Coastal Carolina team just got blitzed by Clemson. They host another matchup and apparently is a rivalry. But I believe Liberty, I feel like every time I play at Coastal Carolina, it's raining. But I expect Liberty to come out and jump out on top. Jump into the SEC. Not a bunch of great games to report here. I already went over West Virginia at Syracuse, Bowling Green at Georgia. Bowling Green is already 0-1. I expect no problems. I think Georgia's going to figure out what happened in week one and go ahead and move on from there and put that in the past and go ahead and take care of this Bowling Green team. It's a good idea to, kind of figure out some stuff offensively. And I think he will do that and move on. FCS Northwest at Penn State. Same thing here. I think after last week, the quarterback's kind of struggling. I think Penn State's going to want this game to just kind of figure out offense, what works, what doesn't, who's going to start at quarterback with these SEC big games. But yeah, we will see. And then Ole Miss at Kentucky rounds us out. Ole Miss already 1-0 start of the season. They traveled to Kentucky. Kentucky's stacking up wins while the other users in this league are getting some bad non-conference wins. So Kentucky stacks this up. They're going to look to the rest of the season as kind of not easy, but they're going to have some nice little non-conference games that are sprinkled in that are going to be easier for them. So it's important for him to stack up some of these wins now. But yeah, that was a week three preview. Kind of a slow start to the season in the sense there's not been many user games. I think that's good and bad. But coming up in a couple weeks that we're gonna start having some of these big games. So take some time to figure out your offenses, defenses, whatever you need to do, and then come those games, I think it's gonna be everyone's gonna be ready to go and everyone's gonna be competing for a playoff spot. But we will see. Not too many surprises here. Good job finishing all the games and such. We're gonna go ahead and advance it after I end this recording. And then we will be advancing next on Friday afternoon, evening at around 8 to 9 o'clock. But till then, y'all take it easy. Good luck.